I just flew with a toddler without using any screen time, and I'm here to tell you how you can do it too. Okay, here's the truth. I'm not an expert. I haven't flown a million times with kids or have had success in a bunch of different ways. But I did just fly with my toddler, and we had kind of a complicated travel day, and he did amazing, and we used no screens. So I thought I would share with you guys a few tips and tricks that I used and share with you how we were able to have a really easy, successful travel day without resorting to any screens. Now, what I will say, there is kind of a caveat, which is that we never use screens. We don't do screen time really ever. So it's not like we're dependent on them generally, and it's not like my son is used to having screen time, so he would crave it if we were flying. But we were considering, before we did this flight, maybe giving him some of his first screen time on the plane if things got out of control. But we really tried to avoid it. We came up with a bunch of different ideas to make this a successful flight, and it worked. So I really want to share what we did with you all, and I want you to leave a comment down below if you have any tips and tricks that you have used in the past so that we can all benefit from each other's knowledge. I apologize if the sound on this video is a little weird. I'm using a different mic in a different setup. I am currently traveling. As I mentioned, we are not at home. So if the sound is a little off, that's why. That's the issue. As well, if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, I would love if you would consider subscribing. It's absolutely free, and you'll get a ton more motherhood and lifestyle content. Okay, so let's just hop right in with my first tip, and that is try, if you can, to get in a full or at least a good nap. So our flight was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. My son takes one nap a day, usually at 11:15 and till about 1:30. So this was not going to happen. We were not going to get a full 2-hour nap in because we would have to be going through the security line at that point. But I knew I really wanted to try to get in some form of a good solid nap before our flight. So we actually decided to drive to the airport about an hour before we had to get there so that he could fall asleep in the car, and then we could drive around until we needed to be at the airport. That gave him a solid hour nap. Now, he does better with 2 or 2.5 hours. That's really what's standard for him. But even just getting a full hour nap in made a huge difference for the rest of the day because he didn't have an exhaustion about him. He wasn't just overtired and struggling. So with that 1 hour nap, if you can fit in a nap, whether it be at the airport, maybe it means you have to walk around with the stroller for an hour before your flight, whatever you have to do to get in that nap, do it, because it will make a difference if your child is rested. Number 2 is put your toddler in comfortable clothes. I know it's kind of obvious, but I did want to mention it. I think it can be easy to just throw on a pair of pants and a shirt, and that's okay. We actually put him in kind of like a romper, and that was just really comfortable for him. He was in just really soft cotton, and he could move around easily. So choose an outfit that is comfortable for your baby. And as an additional tip, choose something that's comfortable for you, because you are going to be on your feet or just dealing with a squirming toddler the whole day. Okay, number 3 is a trick that I saw online that we definitely used, and our son really enjoyed it. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna find a bead box or a box that you would use for fishing, or maybe even a pill box, and you're going to empty that out and put in a bunch of small snacks. So that snack hunting becomes the game. Your toddler will love being able to pick items out of each box because, at least for us, our son is very interested right now in containers and in putting things into other things. And so having snacks, each in its own little container, was just a really entertaining way for him to both eat and have a distraction. And we could kind of pull that out, put it away, pull that out, put it away as needed. We use that in the airport. We also use that on the plane. We've used it even just driving from place to place while we are on vacation. On top of that, make sure you just bring a million different snacks, because food and offering a bunch of different foods is part of the fun. Having just a lot of different kinds of things to eat means that your baby's constantly interested in looking at something different. So we brought Cheerios, we brought pretzels, we brought tea crackers, we brought chips, we brought apples, we brought snack packs, we brought a lot of different things. Just be okay that your child is not going to be eating very healthy that day. It's just too difficult to try to get like a really nutritious meal, especially if you're trying to distract your child so you don't have to use screen time. That means you're going to be using a lot of different foods. Now, of course, you can find some, a healthy alternative to pretzels at the store. So you can find something like that. Maybe that would work for you, but it means you're going to be doing a lot of snacks, and that's okay because you're doing the best you can. And the truth is, your baby eats healthy probably most of the time, and for one day for them to have a treat while they're flying, I think is absolutely fine. Number 4 is buy a bag and fill it with new toys, and then only pull out each toy once they're done with the first one. So I went to Dollar Tree, I bought a bunch of toys, and I just stuffed that in a bag with a zipper, and I had my son reach his hand in, pull something out, okay, you found a new toy, and now we're gonna play with that for a while. And that gave him a lot of time of entertainment because he was playing with different toys, seeing things he's never seen before, enjoying them, and then also doing that container thing again. What's inside this container? Let's see if I can pull it out. Let's see if I can put it back. And just buying cheap things that you don't mind if you lose because you're on a plane, you're probably gonna drop something at some point, and just being okay with that, probably throwing them out when you get to your destination, but it's just a bunch of interesting things for your toddler to be entertained by. Number 5 is something that I didn't do, but I was reminded of it when I arrived. And that is, if you want to do this, because I'm sure this would take a bit of time, is get a bunch of little boxes, put little toys inside, because this is an alternative to the bag idea, and actually wrap them. Toddlers love ripping into wrapping paper. That in and of itself is a game. So if you wrap a bunch of little presents and then open them up and there's things inside, or just wrap the toy itself, then it will give them something to do before actually playing with the toy. So that's another option. Number 6 is walk around the plane. You're definitely going to need to let your baby get his wiggles out. So take him up and down the aisles, allow him to walk up and down. We didn't do a ton of this because our son is super extroverted and loves people and bothers them. So we did that a little bit, but eventually we needed to stop just because we didn't want to bother the other patrons. But even just going up and down the aisle once or twice is very helpful. Speaking of getting the wiggles out, number 7 is something that I should have mentioned earlier, but that is to get the wiggles out in the airport. Make sure that you let your child run around as much as possible and get tired of moving by the time you get on the plane. Again, this means a lot of exercise for you, but it will pay off because it means that your baby isn't struggling to sit down, isn't getting annoyed at you, that they have to be, immobile for as long as they're going to be immobile. So make sure that you let them run around the airport and get that energy out. Number 8 is once you're on the plane, let them look at other people. My son stood on my lap, looked over my shoulder at the people behind us, and thought that was the funniest thing. And that entertained him for a good long while, letting him look at the people in the aisle and just saying hi to everyone. That was very entertaining for him. So just allowing your baby to kind of see what's around so that they can take it all in. It's a new environment, something they've never been in before probably, or maybe not as often, and they are taking a look at what's surrounding them. Number 9 is one of the most important ones, and that is just be totally present. I know we all struggle with being on our phones. I get it. I've been there. I still struggle with it sometimes. This is not the time to deal with that struggle. Put your phone away. You have to be all in with your child. And that's really gonna make the difference between your child having a good day, a good travel day, being a good sport, and not. Because they will love just spending time with you. The fact that you are spending your time with them, the fact that you are giving them your full attention, that is going to make the biggest difference. So when we were on the plane, we only focused on each other and on him. And that was what we did. And he had a great time because he was getting to spend time with his parents totally uninterrupted. And that brings me to number 10, which is, if you can, bring your spouse. Flying alone with a toddler, I can't imagine that would be easy. I think it would be really difficult. And having my husband with me made all the difference. Just having that extra set of hands, having that other person who cares as much about your child as you do, who wants to take care of them, who is going to also be incredibly involved. It's exhausting doing this, even when you have both parents involved, but doing it on your own would be really, really hard. So bring your spouse if you can, bring your husband if you can, so that the two of you can invest as much attention as you can into your baby. And again, your baby's just gonna be happy to be with you guys. That's what we found, and it really made a huge difference. Editing Abby here. I forgot to mention one of the best tips, which is to bring painter's tape. Toddlers love peeling painter's tape off of everything. So stick it on everything and let them pull it off. It's super fun for them. And it's also just great to bring painter's tape because it's a useful tool. You can use it to like sort of baby-proof things. You can use it to cover outlets for your smaller children. It's useful to have, but painter's tape, really good tip. So those are my 10 tips and tricks for traveling with a toddler without using any screen time. We had an amazing travel day. Honestly, it was really fun and our son had a great time. And I think if you take these tips and tricks with you, it might work for you too. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. I hope you'll subscribe and check out my Substack if you're interested in more exclusive content, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!